Welcome to another deep dive, you guys.
Yeah.
Today we are stepping into the world of shamanism,
Okay.
and we are going to be talking all about healing.
Cool.
And this is kind of a fascinating approach, I think.
Yeah.
Um, we're going to be looking at this YouTube video
Yeah.
by John Rasmussen.
Mhm.
It's called The Shamanic Process Explained with Opening Sacred Space.
Okay.
So get ready to explore a fascinating world where ancient traditions meet modern psychology
Okay.
and where healing goes beyond just treating the physical body.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's fascinating how shamanism sees the whole person.
Oh, okay.
The physical, the emotional, the spiritual.
Oh, yeah.
It's all connected.
Yeah, like peeling back the layers of an onion
Yeah.
or those Russian nesting dolls.
Uh-huh.
And Rasmussen talks about 4 layers of existence,
Okay.
starting with life experience,
Okay.
the everyday stuff we all deal with.
Right, exactly. Jobs,
Yeah.
relationships, that nagging pain in your shoulder, that's all life experience.
Okay.
But then nestled inside is the psychospiritual layer.
Okay.
This is where your thoughts, beliefs,
Mm-hmm.
and those pesky emotions hang out.
Okay, so changing jobs would be tackling the life experience layer. But if I'm battling anxiety, that's more of a psychospiritual situation.
You got it.
Okay.
And shamanism says what's happening in those inner layers can really mess with your outer world.
Oh, wow.
Have you ever noticed how a strong belief,
Mm-hmm.
like maybe in a lucky charm,
Yeah.
can actually affect how things turn out?
Right.
That's the power of these interconnected layers.
That's wild.
Yeah.
It's like our minds have way more power than we realize. But
Mhm.
what about those other 2 layers? This is where it gets really intriguing, right?
Absolutely. The third layer is the mythic layer.
Okay.
Imagine all the stories we inherit from our families, culture,
Uh-huh.
even society.
Okay.
These are beliefs like money doesn't grow on trees,
Right.
or you have to work hard to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
They shape how we see the world.
So even if I tell myself I'm worthy of love,
Yeah.
but deep down there's this old family story saying I'm not good enough,
Mm-hmm.
that story might win out.
It can.
Yeah, it's kind of scary.
Yeah, and it often happens unconsciously.
Yeah.
These myths become almost like ingrained programs running in the background.
Oh, wow.
But the good news is we can rewrite those programs.
Okay, so how do we do that? How do we hack into this mythic layer and change the narrative?
That's where the shaman steps in.
Okay.
They act as a guide, using rituals and symbols to help you access and reshape those deep-seated beliefs.
You mean like those ceremonies with feathers and drums we see in movies?
Exactly.
Okay.
Think of it like using a different language,
Right.
a symbolic language
Mhm.
to communicate with your subconscious mind.
Right.
It's a way to bypass the logical part of your brain
Hmm.
and tap into something much deeper.
This is blowing my mind.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got life experience,
Uh-huh.
psychospiritual, and mythic.
Right.
What's the final innermost layer?
Yes.
This has got to be the good stuff.
This one is called the soul layer.
Okay.
It's the essence of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And shamanism suggests this layer can carry a lot of weight, literally.
Okay.
You can hold on to past traumas,
Right.
even those passed down from your ancestors.
Whoa. You mean I could be carrying around the pain of my great-great-grandparents?
You could?
That's heavy.
Yeah.
So how does all this connect to healing?
Imagine those old limiting beliefs as heavy rocks you're carrying around.
Okay.
Shamanic practices help you put those rocks down and feel lighter.
I'm starting to see the connection here.
Yeah.
But how exactly does a shaman help you unpack all that baggage?
Right.
Especially the stuff you might not even be aware of.
That's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Remember that soul layer we talked about?
Mm-hmm.
The one that can hold on to those deep traumas?
Yeah.
Well, shamans believe those unresolved traumas can manifest in all sorts of ways,
Okay.
from physical pain to recurring negative patterns in your life.
So it's not just about addressing the symptoms, it's
Wow.
about going to the root of the problem,
Exactly.
which might be buried in this soul layer.
Exactly. It's like finally dealing with that undigested food
Right.
that has been causing you stomach aches for years.
Mm-hmm.
Rasmussen talks about 6 core human pains
Mm.
that often get stuck in the soul layer.
Okay.
Loss, abandonment,
Yeah.
abuse,
Mm-hmm.
betrayal, engulfment, and neglect.
Wow, 6 core pains.
Yeah.
It's kind of overwhelming to think about, but also it makes so much sense.
Yeah,
Have you ever seen this play out in your own life or with people you've worked with?
absolutely. I think we all have those recurring patterns,
Yeah.
those things we keep bumping up against.
Right.
Shamanism just gives us a framework for understanding them on a deeper level.
Right.
Like, this is where this pattern might be coming from.
Yeah.
This old wound that needs tending to.
Okay, so let's say we've got these traumas lodged in the soul layer.
Right.
What does a shaman actually do to help release them?
Think of the shaman as a facilitator, a guide who helps you access and release those stuck emotions and energies.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about them fixing you,
Right.
but rather about empowering you to heal yourself.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's about tapping into your own inner healer, right?
Exactly.
But what does that process actually look like? What
Yeah.
kind of techniques do they use?
It varies across cultures,
Okay.
but there are some common threads.
Mhm.
They often work with allies,
Okay.
which could be anything from stones and plants
Right.
to animal spirits or even deities from different traditions.
Okay.
It's about harnessing the energy of the natural world
Mm-hmm.
and the spiritual realm to support the healing process.
Okay, that sounds a little out there even for me.
Yeah.
Can you give me a concrete example of what that might look like?
Sure, imagine a shaman calling upon the spirits of the four directions,
Okay.
north, south, east, west,
Mm-hmm.
for protection, healing, and guidance.
Okay.
They might even offer a specific invocation, asking those spirits to help release old stories, limiting beliefs, and those ancestral influences that no longer serve you.
So they're basically calling in reinforcements from the spirit world.
You could say that.
Okay.
It's about tapping into a wider web of support,
Right.
drawing on the wisdom and energy of the natural world and the unseen realms to help you heal and transform.
Wow, that's powerful stuff.
Yeah.
So they've called upon these allies, they've identified the stuck emotions. What happens next?
Right.
How do they actually get rid of that negative energy?
This is where the shaman's connection to nature really comes in.
Okay.
They often visualize returning those heavy energies to the earth,
Mm-hmm.
where they can be transformed and recycled,
Okay.
kind of like composting.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
It's about taking something that was once harmful and turning it into something fertile and life-giving.
Right.
So to recap, the shamanic healing process involves recognizing those 4 layers of existence,
Yes.
getting to the root of the suffering in the soul layer, and working with allies to release trapped energies and restore balance.
Exactly.
It's like a deep cleanse for your entire being.
You got it. And this is just scratching the surface.
Right.
There's so much more to explore in this rich and ancient tradition.
I can already tell this is going to be one of those deep dives I keep coming back to.
Yeah.
But before we get too carried away, let's take a pause here and come back to this fascinating conversation in part 2.
Sounds good.
Welcome back to the deep dive, you guys. We're picking up right where we left off,
Okay.
exploring the world of shamanism and its unique approach to healing.
Right?
Remember those 4 layers of existence we talked about?
Huh?
Life experience, psychospiritual,
Mhm.
mythic, and soul.
Yes.
We're about to see how they all come together in the healing process.
It's like putting together a puzzle.
Okay.
Each layer holds a piece of the bigger picture
Mm-hmm.
of who we are and why we experience the world the way we do.
Okay, I'm game. Let's put those
All right.
puzzle pieces together. So we left off talking about how a shaman acts like a guide,
Right?
helping you access and release those stuck emotions and energies.
Uh-huh.
But how do you even know where to start?
Right.
How do you find those hidden traumas, especially the ones you might not even be aware of?
That's where the shaman's intuition and training come in.
Okay.
They're like detectives of the soul,
Right.
using different techniques to uncover those hidden wounds.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's through talking and listening deeply.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's through working with the body,
Right.
noticing where tension or pain is held.
Okay.
Other times it might involve journeying
Okay.
into altered states of consciousness to access those deeper layers.
Journeying into altered states of consciousness. Okay,
Yeah.
now you're really piquing my curiosity. What does that even mean?
Right.
Is it like meditation or something?
It can be similar to meditation,
Okay.
but also very different.
Mm-hmm.
Shamans use techniques like drumming, rattling, or chanting
Right.
to shift their brainwave state and enter a trance. This allows them to access information and insights
Right.
that might not be available in ordinary waking consciousness.
Okay.
They might journey to different realms, connect with spirit guides,
Mhm.
or even retrieve lost soul parts.
Lost soul parts. That
Yeah.
sounds intense. What does that even mean?
Think of it this way.
Okay.
When we experience trauma,
Mm-hmm.
it's like a part of our essence.
Right.
Our soul energy gets fragmented or stuck in that experience.
Oh, wow.
It's a way of protecting ourselves.
Okay.
But those lost soul parts can create all sorts of imbalances in our lives.
Right.
Shamans can journey to retrieve those lost parts and bring them back to wholeness.
Okay, my mind is officially blown.
Yeah,
This is way more than just aromatherapy and crystals, isn't it?
right.
There's a real depth and complexity to this work.
Yes.
But let's bring it back down to earth for a second.
Okay.
How do these shamanic practices actually translate into real-life healing?
Sure.
Can you give me an example of what that might look like?
Absolutely. Imagine someone struggling with anxiety.
Okay.
A shaman might work with them to identify the root of that anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
Is it linked to a specific traumatic event?
Right.
Is it an inherited pattern from their family line? Or maybe it's connected to a limiting belief they've been carrying around for years.
Right.
Once they've identified the source,
Uh-huh.
they can use different techniques to address it.
Okay.
It might involve releasing trapped emotions through drumming and chanting,
Right.
rewriting limiting beliefs through ritual and symbolism,
Mm-hmm.
or even working with plant allies to restore balance to the body.
So it's like a multi-pronged approach,
Exactly.
addressing the issue from all angles, the physical, the emotional, the spiritual, is even the ancestral.
Exactly. It's about treating the whole person,
Right.
not just the symptom.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about empowering the individual
Right.
to take an active role in their own healing journey.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
It's not about the shaman fixing you. It's about them guiding you back to your own inner power.
Exactly.
You know, this reminds me of something I've been noticing in my own life.
Uh-huh.
I tend to get stuck in these negative thought patterns, these stories I tell myself,
Mm-hmm.
about not being good enough or not deserving success.
Yeah.
I can see how that fits into that mythic layer we talked about.
It's very common we all inherit stories and beliefs that can limit our potential.
Yeah.
But the good news is we can choose to rewrite those stories.
Okay.
It starts with awareness, with recognizing those patterns and questioning their validity.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's about consciously choosing to replace those old limiting beliefs
Right.
with new empowering ones.
So it's like we're the authors of our own lives.
Yes.
And we have the power to edit the narrative.
Exactly. We have the power to choose which stories we want to tell ourselves
Right.
and to create a reality that aligns with our highest potential.
Yeah.
Shamanism just provides us with tools and techniques
Mm-hmm.
to help us tap into that power.
That's incredibly empowering.
But what about those deeper traumas?
Right.
The ones that might be buried in the soul layer?
Yes.
How do you even begin to address those?
That's where those journeying techniques we talked about earlier
Uh-huh.
can be really powerful.
Okay.
By entering altered states of consciousness,
Okay.
we can access those deeper layers
Mm-hmm.
and bring those hidden wounds to the surface.
Okay.
It's not always easy,
Right.
but it's essential for true healing and wholeness.
So it's like we're diving into the depths of our being,
Yes.
facing those shadows and bringing them into the light. It
Yeah.
sounds like a courageous journey.
It is, but it's also a deeply rewarding one.
Right.
When we face our shadows and integrate those lost parts of ourselves,
Uh-huh.
we become more whole, more resilient, and more connected to our true essence.
This is such a fascinating and thought-provoking conversation.
Yeah.
I feel like we've just scratched the surface of a vast and ancient body of knowledge.
We have, but even this glimpse into the world of shamanism.
Offers valuable insights into the nature of healing
Right.
and the interconnectedness of all things.
And I think that's a great place to pause for now.
Okay.
When we come back in part 3, I'm eager to explore what all of this means for us.
Right.
The non-shamans listening in.
Mm-hmm.
How can we apply these ideas in our own lives, even without having a shaman on speed dial?
Exactly.
Stay tuned for more Deep Dive. Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We've been on quite a journey, exploring the world of shamanism, from those 4 layers of existence to journeying into altered states of consciousness. It's been mind-expanding stuff. But now let's bring it all home.
Okay.
What does this ancient wisdom mean for us in our modern lives?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Right.
It's easy to get caught up in the exotic aspects of shamanism.
Right.
But the real magic is how we can apply these principles
Yeah.
to our everyday challenges.
So no need to run off and join a tribe in the Amazon.
Right.
We can tap into this wisdom right here, right now.
Yeah. Absolutely remember those 4 layers.
Yeah.
Simply becoming aware of them can be transformative.
Okay.
It's like suddenly having X-ray vision into your own life.
Right.
You start to see how your thoughts and beliefs shape your reality, how those old family patterns might be playing out in your relationships.
It's like we're upgrading our internal software.
Exactly.
Becoming more conscious of the programs running in the background.
And once you're aware of those programs, you can start to rewrite them.
Okay.
Think about that mythic layer,
Mm-hmm.
all those inherited stories we talked about.
Right.
Are they empowering you or holding you back?
Yeah, that's a big one. I know I've got some limiting beliefs lurking in there.
Yeah.
Stories about not being good enough or not deserving success.
Yeah,
It's like they're on autopilot sometimes.
we all have them.
Right.
But the good news is we have the power to choose different stories.
Okay, how?
It starts with becoming aware of those negative thoughts
Mm-hmm.
and then consciously replacing them with more empowering ones.
So it's like we're the editors of our own internal movie.
Exactly.
You can choose to cut out the scenes that don't serve us
Right.
and create a new ending.
And there are so many practical tools we can use.
Okay.
Journaling can be incredibly helpful for uncovering those hidden beliefs.
Uh-huh.
Affirmations are a powerful way to reprogram your subconscious mind.
Right.
And even just spending time in nature can help you reconnect with your inner wisdom.
That makes sense. It's like hitting the reset button.
Yeah.
Getting out of our heads and back into our bodies in the natural world.
And don't forget about those core human pains we talked about.
Right.
Loss, abandonment, betrayal,
Mm-hmm.
engulfment, neglect.
Right.
Recognizing those wounds within ourselves and others can cultivate more compassion and understanding.
Okay.
It helps us see beyond the surface behavior and connect with the underlying pain.
That's so powerful. It's like we're all walking around with these invisible scars.
Yeah.
And when we can acknowledge those wounds, both our own and others,
Mm-hmm.
it creates a space for healing and connection.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that we're all in this together.
Right.
We're all on this journey of healing and becoming whole.
Mm-hmm.
And while we may not have a shaman on speed dial,
Right.
we each have access to that inner healer,
Yeah.
that wise voice within.
That's incredibly reassuring. So
Yeah.
even if we don't have a drum circle in our living room
Right.
or a spirit animal guide on our shoulder,
Uh-huh.
we can still tap into that shamanic wisdom.
Absolutely. It's about bringing those principles of awareness, connection,
Mhm.
and transformation into our everyday lives.
Right.
It's about remembering that we have the power to heal ourselves,
Right.
to rewrite our stories,
Yeah.
and to create a reality that aligns with our highest potential.
This has been such an insightful deep dive, and I
Yeah.
feel like I've got a whole new toolkit for navigating life's challenges.
That's great.
Before we wrap up,
Mhm.
is there one key takeaway you'd like to leave our listeners with?
I would say this: remember that you are not broken.
Okay.
You are not a problem to be fixed. You are a powerful being with an innate capacity for healing and wholeness.
Right.
And the journey of self-discovery and transformation is a lifelong adventure.
That's a beautiful message to end on. Thank you for joining us on this fascinating exploration
Yes, thank you.
into the world of shamanic healing. And to our listeners, we encourage you to keep seeking, keep exploring, and keep diving deep into the wisdom that resides within you. Until next time, keep shining your light.